Hello, I'm Connor Scroggins, and I'm here to share my research on musical logic under the mentorship of Dr. Timothy Crist. So, when we talk about musical logic, we refer to the organization of musical material. Organization is perceived when we create a focus on specific musical elements, creating a limitation of material and a consistency through that limitation. In this consistency, we perceive a coherent musical idea being conveyed. So, how do we create a sense of organization in music? Well, the artistic experience is the same as the human experience. We perceive events and elements of reality and reflect on those experiences. We communicate our ideas drawn from these reflections in both verbal and artistic languages. Thus, coherence in music is a reflection of the organization that we perceive in reality. Just as we present coherent ideas through words, we may construct musical languages that act similarly in reflecting our ideas. So, here's an 18th century example of logic in music. Let's listen to this excerpt from Bach's Fifth Brandenburg Concerto. Notice how we perceive two different consistencies in this excerpt. So, while both sections are clearly apart from each other, they are, in and of themselves, very distinct and unified. Individually, they are very consistent in rhythm, register, instrumentation, and volume. Overall, we perceive one clear idea and then another clear idea. So, this concerto reflects Bach's culture. This is important. Culture is a culmination of not only our experiences, but also our biases, which are reflections that shape how we experience reality. We are not just guided through experience by sensation alone. Our mind itself also guides in our experience through bias. In this way, the piece by Bach is a culture in and of itself that represents a bias toward experiencing rigidly separate and clearly organized ideas and elements of reality. However, in the human experience, we may also experience a lack of organization. Since musical organization is about reflecting our experiences, musical logic is involved in both organization and chaos. In other words, it is involved with how we build up and break down musical consistencies. In this, we feel an idea more loosely changing. We feel an uncertainty as to exactly what it is. So, in contrast to Bach, let's fast forward to a 20th century composer named Arnold Schoenberg. He was very interested in exploring the potential of musical logic and presenting musical ideas organically. Let's look at the beginning of his Fantasy for Violin and Piano. At first it may look like a mess, but there's actually some consistencies we can notice. The violin and piano are in disagreement. One sounds, then the other sounds, throwing short little phrases at each other. The violin has upward gestures, whereas the piano has downward gestures. Notice how each time they play a short phrase, they play mutated repetition of something they've played before. They play a more intricate, sophisticated version of their upward or downward gesture. So let's see what we hear with these things in mind. So the overall effect of this passage is that we hear the overall growth of a large idea rather than the individual ideas alone. We hear this passage as one large musical statement built from many smaller ideas, just like letters of a word and words of a sentence. We hear a musical language reflecting on the experience of uncertainty and growth, yet an identity we see from that overall growth. So let's look at a bit of the culmination of my research. Here's a fragment of a piece I've written using ideas of logic. Listen for how I organize ideas and build a consistency on the first page, and then interrupt that consistency on the second page, causing the musical idea to become unstable and gradually change into another idea. Overall, musical logic has taught me how I can build musical languages and understand other musical languages. It also gives an insight into the nature of experience and how we can use the logic of our ever-growing experience of events, objects, ideas, and culture to create things and solve problems in the arts and in many fields spanning beyond the arts, in more vividly sharing and refining our human experience. Thank you.